Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Michael?
Just trying to get all the almonds out of my teeth that I just wolfed down before this podcast.
I don't see any. You're good.
Thanks.
We getting canceled in the first 2 minutes or what? Mike just asked me right before we started. He goes, "You want to get canceled in the first 2 minutes of this podcast?" I was like, "Let's do it." Now I'm expecting something big.
Okay. So today's Saturday, September 23rd. I don't know exactly when this podcast is coming out, so this might be completely irrelevant. But during the leg day I was just hitting, I open my phone and I see a post. Now, you don't know who this person... Do you know who Travis Kelce is?
How do I know that name? I do know that name. Oh, yeah, he's a football player. I only know that name because you told me about him for the football draft.
Oh, okay.
For the fantasy draft. Yeah, he was like one of your number one picks.
Yeah, I didn't actually take him, but by far the best tight end in the NFL, plays for the Chiefs, has become one of the faces of the NFL through his personality, through his amazing play on the field, and he has a podcast with his brother, who is a center for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jason Kelce. Their podcast is huge.
Both NFL players?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And last year, the Chiefs played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, so they were playing each other. And like both of them were kind of in the spotlight, and their mom was like a central figure in the media, like getting asked questions, and became a public figure. Anyway, recently Travis Kelce's been in the news because he is starting to date or has gone on a couple dates with Taylor Swift, apparently.
Oh, that's Travis Kelce. Wait, is that the guy who said like I played in Arrowhead and like you're going to have to see me in Arrowhead?
Yeah.
It's that guy? Okay,
yep.
I know exactly who it is. Yep.
Okay, so allegedly, based on what I'm seeing in the last couple of hours, which may have changed, he did a paid post for Pfizer promoting getting your booster.
Okay.
What a complete sellout.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Where could I possibly go with that?
I mean, it's just not surprising to me. Like, I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but like I see celebrities and athletes and stuff do that all the time.
Yeah, but
like
it's
not just for the vaccine, but like for political figures. Like that's like the least surprising thing I've heard ever.
Give me some examples of people who were that out of touch with their fan base. And to give like a 30-second recap, by the way, obviously the vaccine was a really good thing for people who were in high-risk classes, whether they were older individuals, overweight, or had various health conditions, like saved hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives. Based on everything that I have read and observed over the last several years, I believe that. The getting your 5th, 6th, 7th booster doesn't do that. We'll just leave it at that as far as vaccine talk, or at least on my end.
Listen, like
for younger people and
for younger
specifically
people,
athletes,
there's probably a greater risk than there is like benefit with
correct.
Like continuing to get more of those. And like I think that's pretty clear based on looking at nonpartisan information. And just if people get mad about this, it's like it's not like this isn't saying anything about politics. It's just like let's look at the science of these vaccines and boosters and so yeah, I'm very much with you on that. I don't know his fan base. I don't know.
You don't know the typical NFL fan?
I mean, I would imagine, but I would imagine who they are. But I mean, again, like
when you say you're not surprised by it, the shill celebrities, the like Kim K's or fake Natty.
Yeah.
Allegedly fake Natty. I need to start doing things to not get sued because I'd like to not have that happen. But The Rock, like people who are who it seems obvious that they just want money and will do whatever to get that. I don't know. The disconnect between, we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of weeks, but
do we know how much he got paid for it?
No. Definitely a 7-figure post though.
That's just like so not surprising to me. And also because, it's pretty crazy if like looking at, and I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about these claims, none of it. But what's pretty crazy to me is to see what some of the things that were said during 2020, during the whole pandemic, all of that. Looking at some of the things that some people said, either politicians, government officials, whatever it is, doctors, social media companies, looking at what they did and looking at what they said, which things that have been proven to be completely and utterly false, done for money, done like terrible, terrible, terrible things. Like knowingly lied, caught people on hidden cameras, admitting their lies, all this stuff. And how quickly people just forget about it.
Yeah.
Immediately forget about it and justify it, which to me, like, I can see how in hindsight, like now someone who's now faced with this proposition could be like, yeah, you know what? Like, I could see his PR agency being like, listen, you're going to get some kickback early on, but you have a few good games and then they'll be back on your side. Like, I could very much see that being a backroom talk.
The thing is, he's riling a base that, like, I don't, like, the people who are, and I'm just baffled by it, to be honest. Like, I'm baffled at how bad of a PR move it is for to make that move, given who his audience is. Like, I don't think people really forgot Target stuff. I don't think people really forgot Bud Light stuff. Like, both of those companies are still feeling the effects of those moves. Mm-hmm. We'll see how the next few weeks go, or few months, but he had to turn the comments off of his Instagram posts. Like, I also
Did he just do it like in the last couple of days?
A couple hours. I think it was
he posted it in last. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe last night. I don't know. Yesterday or today. Okay. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think it's easier to boycott like a Target or a Bud Light than it is to boycott like that individual, especially based on this type of a claim, like, or this type of an issue. I don't know. I don't see, especially if like he starts crushing it and he has an amazing season, like his fans are going to be like, whatever, like they're not going to give a shit. I think like if the people who like whatever team, I don't know what team he's on, I don't know anything about what he does or any of that, but I could see like his, like if he helps them win a Super Bowl, I think his fans are going to be like, whatever, like they're not gonna worry about it at all.
Football fans are on average though like red-blooded Americans. Like I don't know that you're fully, like, I think
I might not be
like,
in touch with it.
I think this is you getting paid $500K to like completely flip and start promoting carnivore really heavily.
Which is wild. Yeah, it's just, correct. Which would, just be such a stupid decision. Correct.
So short term, so unaligned with your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was that, which is pretty crazy. It makes you wonder how much money actually was paid. Like, I mean, these big pharma companies, I really hope they don't kill me, Like, I'm so scared about that. Like those companies talk about power, I mean, it makes you wonder how much money. And it's also crazy because it's like, it really makes you like, these companies aren't stupid. They have to know about how much hate and vitriol and like resistance they're getting in terms of people not taking them, not wanting to take them, all the bad press around them, all like the hidden camera stuff that's come out about the heads of these companies who've been wheeling and dealing and lying about stuff. It makes you wonder, like, why would they think this would be an effective strategy from a marketing perspective? Like that, it just doesn't, I don't know. Is any press good press?
Well, dude,
is like just the name gets out,
Remember de Blasio eating the burger and the French fries, sitting on TV and being like, if you go get your vaccine, then
you
David, we might need to blur some of these words for YouTube, but he's like, you get a free burger and French fries. Good burger. This is delicious. I don't know. It actually makes me think, because we were spitballing on how much he would have gotten paid to shill this advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind goes to like, it has to be at least, and who knows if it's a multi-post campaign coming, but it has to be at least $1 million, and probably in the like 1 to 5 range, assuming he knows
easy
what the reaction will be from the majority of his fan base.
Yeah.
But then it makes me think, what if it's not just money? Like, this is one of the first times where I've been even more suspicious about, hey, you promote this and then, you know, we'll have you date the most famous singer and you'll get even more popular. Like, it makes me even more conspiratorial and thinking about strings getting pulled behind the scenes.
Yeah, 100%. It's pretty crazy, and I'm definitely going to piss a lot of people off with this talk.
Are there? You think there's people who listen to this podcast who have 7 boosters?
It's not that they have them, although I'm sure there are people who have multiple boosters listening.
But people who have gotten every booster that was recommended.
I'm sure I'm sure there are
people on
but
their
the question,
7th, 8th, 9th booster who continue.
The question isn't whether or not they have it. The question is whether or not they can hear this without taking offense to it. That is I'm sure there are people who've gotten every booster who listen for sure. And they're probably a minority among people listening. But to be able to separate getting that from being offended or getting upset, that's a very unique individual. And I would imagine if they're getting every booster and, you know, they're not severely immunocompromised and significantly older, they're getting all of their information straight from MSM, from mainstream media, and not from actual like scientific sources. And so I think it's a different person.
I have people close to me and people relatively close to me in my life who lean that way, who live with a lot of fear and who did get the first booster, the second booster, maybe even the third in some cases. But even they stopped when they saw the data into 2022 at the dwindling efficaciousness of these, like each additional booster and how small the benefit is and for how short a period of time it lasts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said, should we get canceled? And you said they hate us anyway. But apparently they didn't all hate us anyway, but now some more of them do.
There might be a couple angry reviews, but if you like the conversation, please leave some positive reviews for us to help balance those negative ones out. That would be super helpful. So iTunes, Spotify, the written positive reviews are super helpful.
We can cut this if you want, but
I don't
No, we can cut what I'm about to say
now.
Has your mom gotten a booster every like few months?
No. So she got the first, and we can keep this in. She got the first. I think she got 1, maybe 2, but that was it. And like she was like very gung ho about it early on, and now she's like, whatever. Like it's just yeah. So, but yeah, that's part of who I was thinking in my head. It's like that demographic. My mom was very much that, but we could keep this in here. It's not bad.
And now I'm trying to think of people further out there than her who continued to get every booster, who also listen to our podcast every week. I don't think there's any. I don't think there are. You think there's a few?
Maybe there's none.
I think the number is 0.
Our podcast is wildly popular. Like there are listeners from all over the world. We've got hundreds of millions of downloads every day.
All right. Well, maybe I need to.
This is a joke, by the way. We don't actually have that.
I believe you. I think I need to read Dale Carnegie again, and I need to tone it down. I think that's what Jordan's telling me.
Tone it up.
I need to be more of an ESTP.
No.
Yeah, I can't walk on eggshells any longer.
Yeah. No. I agree with everything. I'm just thinking, like, I don't know everyone who listens to the podcast. Could be.
Where should we take this?
How is your lower body lift?
The leg extension machine was taken for a significant amount of time, so I couldn't finish my last isolation exercise, but otherwise it was good.
Did you do like a substitution exercise for leg extension or no?
No, I was already late for the podcast.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Yeah, you were pretty late. Which honestly, I wasn't upset at all because like, leverage.
The next time you want to stroll in fairness, I was probably like 8 minutes late and then
yeah,
GI track. So I was a few more minutes late. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's fire up some questions. Want to fire up Q&A?
Oh, actually, did you see Gary made an interesting post on Instagram the other day? Might have been yesterday.
I can't believe big pharma companies are even allowed to put marketing dollars like they do. Like, I can't believe for the last how many years of my life, I have to sit here and watch these commercials with like smiling elderly people while the background is like risk of heart disease, risk of death, risk of sudden death, risk
cancer,
every single risk. And they're like playing with their grandchild in a field, like smiling. And it's like,
yeah, dude, the pharma world is pretty wild. I remember, I think when I had the podcast with Spencer Nadolski and Danielle Bellardo, I didn't realize it, but there's a way where you can check to see which doctors have gotten paid from pharma, which is like, you can like actually see how much money each of these like doctors have gotten paid. But what I don't think is available is what is definitely not available is like what other public figures have gotten paid by them, whether it's political figures or whether it's actors or whatever it is, right? Like, what I would love to know is which politicians on both sides are getting paid and by who, or I don't know if it's who or by whom, but it's one of those.
I don't either.
And I would love to, if there's a way to make that public, but obviously like, that will never be, I shouldn't say never. That would be, it's funny. I've been listening to all of the podcasts Joe Rogan did with Edward Snowden, and he was really, he was talking a lot about this, about how we have these public officials and private citizens, right? And public officials are supposed to be public. That's what they sign up for. That's what they're getting paid for. That's their job. And private citizens are supposed to be private by nature. What we really have is a reversal of that, in which private citizens are actually, there's public access to them, whether all these companies, all the data that we collect is public information for all of these people. And the politicians, they will commit crimes, they will do certain things, and by and large, some of them get caught and some of them face issues, but a lot of them, it gets swept under the rug. They get moved around. They're actually far more private. It doesn't actually get covered because of the influence they have. I thought it was such a unique and interesting way to look at it. It's like, it really is a huge role reversal. And he said the only way that this can change to make it more fair and what our government was designed to be like is through complete transparency and through real accountability held at the highest level, where if a crime is committed, whether it's whoever it is, regardless of what level of office they hold, regardless of anything, they have to be met with the repercussions, and it has to be open and public information. It shouldn't be private. And so it was Edward Snowden he's one of the most amazing speakers I've ever heard. He's so thoughtful, so articulate. If you haven't listened to those episodes on Joe Rogan's podcast, listen to them in order. They are truly remarkable. And he's an incredible, incredible man. And I knew like the base story of what he did. I didn't fully understand it. I'm going to get his book and listen to that as well. But, we have a huge role reversal. And I think so much of that is driven by money, by, I would imagine, pharma and other industries paying off politicians and also, I don't know, never mind paying them off, like killing them off or threatening to kill them. Like this, we're talking about some of the most powerful people and companies in the world. Of course, they like the stuff that we see in movies, the stuff that we see, whatever it is, like, I don't know who's being threatened and what information they have. And I have no idea. I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me in the least to find out about that.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. What was Gary's post?
Oh, Gary made a post about Instagram and social media, which I thought it was really good. It was very good. I actually sent it to my videographer because we're always trying to tinker, and everything that I do on social media, the way that I think about all of my posts is every post is a test. Like everything that I do is just a test to see. It's not like a pass or fail. It's sort of like when people look at their daily nutrition as a pass or fail, if they didn't hit their calories that day, they look at it as a failure and they're like, well, why bother? And people, often coaches, people trying to build their fitness business or whatever it is online, they look at their social media posts like a pass fail. If it gets a good amount of likes or a good amount of views or whatever it is, it's a pass. And it's all completely subjective in terms of what's a good amount versus a bad amount. And it can change day to day and all of that. But if it gets a bad amount, whatever you've deemed bad response, then you've failed. And I think that often leads people to not want to post anymore, not want to share content, not think that they can succeed. And it's been very interesting looking at Instagram especially over the last year, but especially since TikTok really blew up. But I think Instagram changed a lot over the last year or so, maybe even 6 to 8 months. How content does, I used to be able to predict it with a pretty high level of certainty how a piece of content would do. Now it's zero level of certainty. I have no idea how a piece of content is going to do. And he made a great piece of content. I'll show it to you, the people watching on YouTube. The first slide it's going to be backwards on the screen, but me trying to figure out what's working on Instagram right now. It's just like him like in the middle of an office, like with red lines and papers posted up. But then you swipe over and it's a video of him talking about it. And he's basically in the video, he's like talking about how he's trying to hack Instagram. And he said he was talking about how some social media platforms are early on in the social media game. Different platforms it was like the minor leagues or little league. He said Instagram used to be more minor leagues, little league. It was relatively easy. Now it's the pros. Instagram is a different ball game now. It's a very different world, and he's constantly trying to figure it out. And he's going through periods of better or worse engagement, which I think, he's got over 10 million followers, right? And this is Gary, like this is what he's arguably most well known for, is social media stuff. And so it was a very, very good, insightful, honest, open post, just saying, this is normal. It's a different ballgame. Things have changed, but like keep trying new things. And instead of looking at it from a pass fail perspective, look at every post. It's just a test. You're just testing it out. Try new things. I just did an entire series, part 1, part 2, part 3 of chin up videos, like how to get your first chin up. Probably the worst engagement I've had since like 2014 on posts. Like just terrible, but like cool. Like now, and I think it's funny. I don't think it's definitely not because the videos were bad. I guarantee if I posted those videos in 2017, 2018, they would have went bananas. I actually think what's an interesting thing to be aware of now on social media, especially Instagram, is there are so many more people making educational content that purely educational content doesn't hit as well as it used to. Like there are so many videos of how to do push-ups, how to do squats, how to do chin-ups. There are so many of those, and so many, it doesn't hit like it used to. People aren't as interested in that anymore. Whereas unfortunately, one thing I do see people really interested in is like these stitch videos where you take someone else's video and then you give your commentary on it. And I think there are ways to do that are intelligent and not ad hominem, not attacking the person. But I know someone, actually a good friend who's been doing it recently. And I've looked in the comments of this person's post, and a lot of comments are people saying, I don't like how you're doing this because you're tearing the other person down. So just be very aware of when you're doing these style of posts, how you're actually talking about the post and making it clear that you're not ripping the person apart. You're talking about the ideas presented, because it's a huge brand shift to go from an educational style coach to it almost looks bitter. It doesn't look good if you're trying to tear people apart. And I actually don't think it's good for I don't think it's necessarily good for business. I don't think it's good for your soul. I don't think it's good for your mind, for your body. I don't think it's good for you to be like looking for people's content to then, because that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to look for content that's bad to then rip it apart. And I don't think it's the best business strategy from the majority of your content perspective. I don't think that's the best idea. Sometimes, occasionally, sure, but I don't think it should be done a majority of the time. It'd be better to just take a news story, a headline, as opposed to an individual's content.
I like that. I like those ideas about the current landscape of Instagram and the mindset shift of this isn't pass fail. This is all testing. This is all learning. Like there's no good or bad outcome. There's just try, learn from, adjust, try again. And I think that'll especially help any coaches who are struggling to make content because they feel like they aren't getting the level of feedback or the level of engagement or the positive response that they deserve, or maybe even that they used to get 1 or 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about Sam Sulek and his YouTube? We were talking about it earlier. You introduced me to it.
Yeah, I randomly, I think it just hit my algorithm. My YouTube, not shorts, but, just scrolling through YouTube. And there was a vlog that said, I don't remember what it said, back day, cut day 28, back or something. And there's this monster dude in the picture. But what caught my eye the most was it had like 800,000 views. It's like, what the heck who is this guy? I've never even seen this guy before. This like giant guy with long hair and a hat, baseball cap pulled down low, and click on it. And just this chill, roided out, happy dude, like just talking about what's up. So I had this 2 fucking slices of cheese. It's like a snack, like 18 protein, 20 fat, like stuff that clearly just saying what's on his mind, not trying to be performative, not trying to be engaging,
not like a Mr. Beast style, like
the opposite of Mr. Beast style videos, like just old school 2015 style, him in the camera vlog, no videographer, no editing, no music, no jump cuts, none of that. And then I go through and it looks like he's uploading daily. And it all is around his training, all of his content and nutrition and life. And he's getting hundreds of thousands of views on every single video, like 1.2 million views on a video from a full day of eating video from 3 days ago, just crazy numbers, which is, I guess, surprising, number one. And number two, cool. Just, I think it makes sense that people connect with authenticity, which seems like something in my limited exposure to him that he has and I'm talking like maybe 10 minutes of consumption total. He seems to have that. And I don't know. Would he be doing those numbers if he didn't have an incredible physique? Probably not.
Definitely not. Yeah.
To be honest, but seems like a cool guy and just a testament to the fact that different styles of content can work.
The other thing is there's a lot here. One of the things that you pointed out earlier when we were looking at his channel was the comments on his channel with like thousands of upvotes, people saying he just seems like such a chill dude, such a nice dude. Just his videos are just him and the camera. There's no special effects. And to see many people commenting that they enjoy that. And that they like how it's not jump cutty. They like how it's not special effects. They like how it's not super well edited. It's like, I think it can be very comforting to people, to creators, to know that you don't have to have super highly edited videos and have it make it look really good. It's more about you. And the other thing on top of that is I've never had those types of views that Sam Sulek has, ever. Neither have you.
No.
But we both have done very well with our business. And I think that's a really, really important point to understand is You don't need that level of engagement to have a very successful business. And even if you have a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that many views and subscribers and all of that, you can still follow that same protocol, that same model of just being yourself and sharing helpful information. And with a smaller level of people, smaller amount of people who follow you, still build a very, very successful business. That is one of the things I love about seeing that channel. And I think people are craving that style of content. People are more than ever. I think people are already getting burned out from the outrageous, like fast reels, like jump cut, quick, fast, bop, 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 bop. I think people are getting burned out. I think they're getting tired of it. And it's people are looking for long form content that can keep them on one task, one piece of content for a long period of time. I think they're feeling, especially.
You're describing yourself right now too. I know, because in the last 3 weeks, I've witnessed your consumption style change like I didn't even think it ever would. I remember you being on a flight talking about not wanting, like you're like, I was scrolling, but I didn't want to be scrolling. And your exact words, and you texted this to me, you said, I wanted to do something less dopaminergic. And so you put on a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's that like constant attention switching, depleting effect on the brain. I think that I haven't watched enough of Sam's videos to know for certain, but he also seems to not be selling anything. And I would imagine that also plays a beneficial role in engagement. Now, is that optimal for business? No. Depending on long-term strategy. Yeah, maybe. But maybe he's not doing it to monetize. Maybe he's just doing it to share. Maybe he's doing it to monetize in the future. Maybe he's monetizing now and I've just missed it. But it seems like he's genuinely documenting his bulking seasons and then his cutting seasons. I think he's been doing this for 8 months. I scrolled back on his YouTube today.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not, that's an important discussion to have. Like, is it best for business? Is it good for dollars short term? No, absolutely not. Like if he was selling something, he could make way more dollars short term. Is it good for brand long term? Yes. And I think something that's good for brand long term is good for dollars long term. But like that's where people get into these issues is like, okay, well, they want to be doing these supplement sales and affiliate codes and selling this and selling that short term. It's like, and those short term dollars like can look really enticing, but it's actually terrible for brand and money long term.
Yeah, you get your first 300 followers and then you're like, oh, I need an Athletic Greens code. And then you start pumping it at them. That's going to inhibit your ability to grow your audience.
Yeah, especially now. If this was 2004,
sure,
I think it'd be different because it was, 20 years ago. That's fucking wild. But no one was doing it then. Now everyone and their mom has a discount code and it's just everyone understands how it works and it's obnoxious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I skew anti-sales. I wrote an article why I don't do affiliate marketing in 2014 because even then I felt it was oversaturated and it hurt brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, cool to see someone like that. And I actually am going to watch more of his stuff. I hope he talks openly about what compounds he's using and like how he developed that insane physique.
Yeah,
no,
it's
really
wild.
Because I would bet 90% of my net worth at 1-to-1 that he's not on there saying
he's natty.
Yeah, because that would there's too much good information from like More Plates, More Dates to Greg Doucette to these guys who have gone after fake natties so hard for the last 3 to 5 years. I don't think that a Mike O'Hearn or a Simeon Panda or these classic guys who get accused of being, well, I'm going to say get accused of being a fake natty. I don't think that you can explode like that at this time. I think that in this era of material wealth and showiness and deceit and lying, like I don't think that can win at that level. So I would imagine he's saying that, like, yeah, of course I'm taking stuff.
You really don't want to get sued.
No, I don't want to get sued. If not, if he is claiming natty, then I don't understand. Then I want to never go on the internet again because I just don't understand anything.
I would be shocked based on the positivity of the comments. I feel like that would be the top comment every video. It would be like, all right, like, just stop pretending you're natural. Like, and for all of the comments to just be so positive and nice, like, it doesn't seem like anyone can have anything bad to say about this guy.
Yeah.
Probably stemming from his honesty.
Yeah.
Honesty in terms of actually what comes out of his mouth, and also honesty in terms of his production and everything he's doing. It's like, it's honest of him. It's funny. It's almost like when you have all these fancy edits and crazy, these fancy things that you put in your videos, it's like a filter. It's like you're catfishing people on a dating app, right? It's not real. It's not authentic.
Or clickbaiting.
Yeah. It's not honest is what it is. And like, it's not to say you can't use them. I mean, shit, I use them. I have a videographer and he helps me with it. But like, if you watch my videos, even my videographer, it's just me in front of a whiteboard, and like he'll like maybe get a 7 to 15 second clip of me training jujitsu every now and then, or strength training where he's just moving around and getting different shots of me. But it's still all very straightforward and honest. It's not like crazy shots or any of that. But someone like Sam Sulek, who's literally just like him and a camera, nothing crazy, no jump cuts even. Like, it's just, that's the definition of honest, because it's exactly what it looks like. It's like your one take show. This is it. This is what you get.
I'm gonna finish because I think this is an educational segment for people to learn from what he's doing. But in the fitness industry, I'm going to put the cap on this conversation that you need to be remarkable in some way, which either means physique or strength or like something fitness related, to do numbers like that with this strategy.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Can't just upload 60-minute vlogs every single day of your life and like, it wouldn't work. Or I'd do it.
And look like me. You can't look like me and just upload a 60-minute vlog just like, yep, got 2 slices of cheese, fucking snack. That's how he started a video. He was like, oh, almost forgot to record, All right, let's look at what I eat. 2 slices of cheese, fucking snack. Which is funny because that was like 14 seconds in, and like one of the top 5 rules of YouTube is don't swear in the first minute because they'll downgrade it. And that video had like over 1 million views, and he just doesn't give a shit at all.
Or like
fucking snack.
There's no like attention getter or like hook or any of that. Like, it's just, hey, he's like, a lot of verbal fillers, not really making any points in the first 30 seconds of the video.
Yeah. It looked like a 1998 home video.
Yes,
just like,
yes. Which, look, I get content that is nostalgic, like throwback to 90s content. So maybe that's a real play.
You know what I've actually seen people doing, and I've like felt nostalgia for it, is they've been taking like those cameras that give you an instant picture. Remember those cameras that we had when we were younger? You get an instant picture from it. Polaroids, yeah, exactly. And people are even there are filters now to make your pictures look like they're Polaroids, which is just like, you have the highest quality camera that money can buy, and you're using a filter to make it look like a shit quality picture. It's funny. People are wanting to go back to that style. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Back then they were like, I wish this could be clearer, and it didn't look like there was just like terrible quality. And now it's like, oh, let's go back to make it look like it's that shitty ass like Polaroid picture.
Yeah. Wild, right?
Yeah. People are nuts. We're an interesting species.
Should we pull another question?
Actually, we didn't even have a question.
This is a great pod. Leave a 5-star review if you want more pods like this. Would you say your primary training objective right now is health and longevity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And feeling really good. Like I just, right before this podcast, I did a 30-minute stretch session, and it's just feeling my back loosen up and my hips loosen up and my hamstrings loosen up, and feeling like doing movements to get more movement in my spine and lateral flexion, all that, just feeling really good. Yeah, health, longevity, and feeling good for sure. And jiu-jitsu is now a second. What about you?
I don't know. Definitely not strength. Like some combination of health and aesthetics, but not aesthetics in the way I thought about them in 2012, which was like not idolizing, but like holding a higher level of leanness to like on giving it more value than I do now. But reasonable strength, reasonable amount of muscle, reasonable leanness, reasonable mobility, feeling good. Yeah. Cardio. Yeah.
It's so funny. Like I didn't realize how good I felt when I was younger because I just felt good all the time. My mobility was good and I had no aches and pains, and I didn't have that tight feeling. But now after I sit down or even just waking up, I'm like, like my back, it's tighter. It has that tight feeling. So for me to go and just do a 30-minute stretch and just have that be alleviated, that's addicting, because then that's like feeling younger for me. It's like I feel young. I can move better. I'm not restricted. That underlying low level like tightness the brain is like, I can relax a little bit more because I'm not thinking about it, even subconsciously.
You think that has come for you with age?
Yeah.
Like age being the primary factor that's increased your level of tightness?
Lifestyle, not age.
Okay. Because
it's lifestyle, yeah.
I feel that tightness in these like isolated periods of time where I spend massive amounts of time at the computer, whether it's like a very busy week with a lot of program design, a lot of client updates, a lot of like client issues kind of boxed together in a few days where I have to spend a lot of time at the computer. I'll feel that. But most of the time when I'm rolling, when I'm using a softball, when I'm not sitting for extended periods of time consecutively, or at least if I have a lot of work to do, I get up every 30 to 60 minutes and move around a little bit. When I'm, not being an idiot with my training, like taking certain heavy compounds close to failure and risking some kind of tweak. When I am eating reasonably, my body feels way better, and way better now than it did 10 years ago or even like 6 to 15 years ago. Like that entire window, basically, I feel better now as a result of modifying training and lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. But also I would imagine that however many years ago, you were lifting really heavy weight. Like you were lifting super heavy and right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you deadlifted your heaviest ever, and you were squatting super heavy.
No. That was
like 6 years ago, right? 6, 7, 8 years ago?
That bulks. Yeah, that was 7 years ago. That's when I was definitely at my biggest. Not at my strongest, at my strongest upper body, I'd say. Not lower body.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like training for maximal strength is going to lead to you feeling banged up and tight very often. Whereas bringing intensity down a little bit, absolute intensity or the amount of weight you're lifting, bringing that down a little bit, bringing volume down a little bit, you're just going to feel better day to day as a result of that.
Running also really screws with my back. Like that's why I like doing the high incline walking or elliptical as opposed to run, because running it really does. Like I can do a zone 2 and not really an issue, but like a relatively short zone too. But if I'm going for like an hour or more, my back really starts to feel it. And so it's that for me, I love that lower impact type cardio because it doesn't have any issue with my back whatsoever.
Don't quote me on this, but allegedly Goggins spends 2 to 3 hours every night static stretching.
I believe it. I mean, he has to. I believe that. Yeah.
My low back has always been okay with running historically, but my hips would get so tight and I wouldn't put in the time required to stretch them to offset. So this, yeah.
I'm really liking, and this is when I first started strength training, I started really strength training with kettlebells and doing awkward lifts, whether it was Turkish get-ups or windmills or any of those like awkward movements where you're almost inherently limited by how much you can lift because it's sort of an awkward implement in an awkward position, as opposed to a deadlift or a squat in which you're optimizing. Like, number one, the barbell is optimized to hold as much weight as possible in your hands, on your back, and the movement is optimized to try and lift as much weight as possible. It's like you're loading your body with the most amount of weight you possibly can, and you're also trying to reduce the range of motion as much as you can in order to lift it. Like, it's terrible strategy from a joint health perspective and overall like movement perspective. I'm getting back into these awkward movements and awkward lifts, like doing these things that so many people traditionally say are bad for you, rotating under loads. Like yesterday I did a bunch of kettlebell windmills and, but like with a lot of added rotation to it, and with a pretty relatively lightweight from a max weight perspective, like nowhere near as much weight as I would squat or deadlift, but it felt pretty heavy for that movement. But these awkward lifts, like severe rotation and flexion while lifting, like is making me feel so good. And the mistake I would have made when I was younger is trying to overload these movements outrageously heavy, when the reality is you need to reduce it for the demands of that movement, which will require and necessitate you to lift lighter loads, but still heavy relative to that movement.
You would have loaded them heavier due to ego or because
ego.
Yeah.
Ego. And I would have completed the lift out of ego.
And I would have done it.
and I would have done it, but it would have screwed me up big time. Now it's Henry Rollins. Like there's no ego in the gym. Once you really understand the iron, 200 pounds is always 200 pounds. Like it's actually, you know what? It's almost funny. Like 200 pounds is always 200 pounds, but 200 pounds feels a lot different based on whatever movement you're doing. Right. And so it's, you really got to adjust that to not only have you been given the iron, the time it deserves, have you been consistent in the gym, have you been training hard, but also have you trained your body through this range of motion? Have you done this movement? Like I haven't trained in these awkward movement patterns for a long time. So getting back into it, it feels great, but I'm starting at ground zero again.
One question to finish.
I got such a weird question in this Q&A. I'm not going to say the person's Instagram handle. I don't understand it. Maybe you can. Maybe you've been on some weird places in Reddit where this will make sense. I don't know. Someone asked me.
You're a Redditor. I'm not a Redditor.
I'm not a Redditor.
The only time I ever go on Reddit is to see what people think of an episode of The Challenge. And I'm like, what the heck happened here in this hall brawl? Like, can you believe that TJ didn't blow this? And then the first thing that pops up is like Reddit, The Challenge, season 24, episode 9, Zach versus CT hall brawl.
Seriously? Oh, that's so funny, man. Reddit has everything.
Yeah, you would know.
They said, is it offensive to name a child Cohen? Which I
would imagine they're saying because Cohen's a common Jewish last name, they're asking you
correct.
If it's offensive for them to make their child who isn't Jewish making their first name Cohen.
So is it offensive to name a non-Jewish child a Jewish name?
I think specifically they want to know if they can make their child's first name Cohen if the child isn't Jewish, or if that's offensive. I think that's what they want to know.
I just think it's so funny. That's such a wild thing to ask. No, and I mean, for me, no, like I don't, it's very difficult to offend me. I don't know anyone who would be upset about that. I'm like I remember seeing this question and I was taken aback by it. I was like, I don't know how to know. If you like, I mean, listen, I've seen some pretty crazy names that parents decide to choose some pretty crazy names parents have chosen to name their kids. That doesn't seem like that crazy of a name. If you like it, go for it. I don't know. What do you think? Are you offended by it?
DM? No, I'm not offended in the least bit. I think it's kind of cool.
I think it's a cool name.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's akin to asking trying to think of a different ethnicity / like common name for a group of people. I'm blanking.
I can't wait to hear this one.
Hang on, I got one. What ethnicity is? Okay, so all right, I got some Swedish in me. So if someone was like, Mike, I want to name my kid Forsberg after the great Peter Forsberg, but I'm not Swedish.
Yeah.
Not only would I not be offended, I wouldn't care, and I wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be there would be no, like if I met that person and they're like, yeah, this is my son. His name is Cohen. Like, oh, nice to meet you. Like there would be zero like, why is
I think
like
you know what? I bet there's probably some element.
It's actually a great name.
It's a cool name. You putting that one in here?
Yeah.
There's probably some element too that, where they're hypersensitive to offending Jewish people versus people of other ethnicities for whatever reason.
Yeah, maybe. Or just like aware of not wanting to offend anybody. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only Jew. I get that a lot. I'm the only Jew that a lot of these people follow. So like sometimes people will ask me questions because they don't have anyone else to ask.
In their real life.
Yeah. Like they don't know any real Jewish people. Like I get that a lot. Anytime I'll share like Hanukkah stuff or Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, or whatever it is, like anytime I share anything Jewish, I get a lot of messages from people being like, I don't know any Jews. Like, can I ask you questions? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Of course. So like maybe that was it. That would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Cohen Syatt.
Cohen.
No, I know what you're naming. I know some of the names you have up your sleeve.
Oh, if I have a son, I know exactly what I'm going to name him.
Can I say it?
No.
Well, David will bleep it out.
Well, then what's the point of saying it? Bleep that out, David. Bleep that one out. You know what's crazy?
Do you remember that though? We were on the phone. This was like this was a year and a half ago. And
yeah, before my daughter was born. Yeah.
And I was on speaker. Your wife was on too. And I was like, oh, you're going to name him? Bleep that out.
Bleep that out, David.
And she like looked at you like you told Mike, like was like the reaction. And you're like, bro, did I tell you that? It's like, no, it's just going,
Yeah, dude. I remember that. That was crazy. What did I tell you about my buddy Adam? How he named his son that? And like,
no.
Literally, so his wife was pregnant with his son when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, and we were telling each other the names, and I was like, what are you gonna name your son? And he said it, and in my mind, I was like, I must have told him that that's what I was gonna name my kid if I had a son. So I laughed, and he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's funny." He was like, "What's funny?" I was like, "No, really, what are you naming him?" And he was like, "That's his name." And I was like, "That's what I was going to name if I had a son." So now like he knows. I was like, if I have a son, just so you know, I'm not copying you. That's what I was planning even before you told me that. But yeah.
That's funny.
Bleep those out, David. Bleep those names out. What would you name your son?
Right here.
If you have a son.
Right here. I'm a vault.
Temple? Temple. Temple Vacanti.
If you are interested in joining the mentorship, just so you know, the price is going up. It's going up very soon, and it's going up by a lot. And we've made a bunch of these announcements over the last several weeks, so you've had ample time. Just one of your final reminders. Thought I'd lay it for you here at the end of this landmine-filled episode of talking boosters and Cohen and the Personal Trainer Podcast with Mike and Jordan. Thank you for listening.
Have a good week.
Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.